Hey guys, so here's an attempt at trying to use the sports analogy to help develop our emotional development. A lot of times I use it simply, I use the fitness analogy to try and raise the idea, encourage the idea that we can be resilient and we can train up, we can develop our emotional competence as in the same way that we do our muscular development or our agility or our sporting, athletic ability. It's a skill. We can do exercises, we can get stronger, we can get more flexible, we can become more agile and more resilient. So trying to take those principles, keep those principles in mind, but using a slightly different context to try and shift. I don't know if you've ever felt really disoriented when you get hit by some topic or some emotional content that's like really intense or very different than what you expect. Just kind of surprising and out of the blue. It could be heated, it could be anger filled, it could be just something that is an emotional topic that you're not settled with. So sometimes a tendency is to just turn in anger or turn in hurt in the response that it's like, oh, I don't like the way this is going, so I'm gonna attack back, or I'm gonna push back, or I'm gonna at least be resistant and uncooperative. But there's another way of looking at this, and I want you to think about like the situation of a turnover in a ball game, where you might be on offense. Now there are a couple different things to bear in mind. First off, even though we're talking about a sports analogy, bear in mind first and foremost, the idea of winning is not to beat and obliterate the opponent. The goal of winning is to have a successful and engaging and competitive interaction, such that the competition it brings out the best. It inspires the best performance out of everybody involved. That's the competition, okay? And if you hold that as the spirit of competition that you're fostering with your loved ones or with your life partner or your work compatriots, then you're striving for a common goal, and that's to have for everybody to bring their very, very best physical performance to this athletic competition. Okay, we're trying to bring our very, very best emotional selves to these intimate interactions. So we're in this turnover situation, and we've just been on offense. So we've been pushing hard to try and work the passing game, the strategy, so that we can effectively get to our competence to hit the high probability shot. But it gets interrupted, and a mistake is made or what have you. There's a turnover, and the other team gets the ball. We have to shift our attitude to defense. And the defense it's got a whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of different goals in mind at the same time. Are we going to try and get the ball back? Are we going to simply try and block the shot from being made? Are we trying to block the ball from entering the hoop? Are we trying to disrupt the passing game that we know of this other team? There are a whole bunch of different strategies or techniques that we might do to try and play this defensive game. And all the while, we're ready. We're in our ready stance, so that if we disrupt their offensive game with our strong defense, we turn right back to offense, and we're like as quickly as possible shifting our strategy back to the offense, right? There's this going back and forth as quickly as possible with whatever flow there is in the game. So take that same idea of being very dynamic, very engaged, and very present and agile in an emotional context. Something comes up, you've just arrived home, so you're kind of in a defensive or kind of a neutral posture, but you're arriving and you're definitely not playing offense. And something comes up, an accident happened, and the car is, you're not sure if the car is totaled, and you're not even sure about injuries. You're just learning about this as you've arrived. It just happened a short while ago. This could bring up fear, this could bring up anger, this could bring up just concerns, whatever. And you've got to shift your emotional self as quickly as possible to tend to this. And depending on how well you shift your emotional self, you might be on your heels or on the balls of your feet, or you might just be wiped out and unable to address this right now. All of these are possibilities, but you have to check in with yourself. And then you get to decide how you bring yourself to this situation. What part of your emotional self are you going to bring to this situation? Are you going to bring the tired self? Are you going to bring the rested and assured self? The confident, the loving, the hurt, the angered one? Which part of yourself are you going to bring to this? And let's say that the topic isn't just this thing that happened. Maybe you're accused, hey, why didn't you take out the garbage last night? I did take out the garbage last night, so I feel good about this one. Well, hey, how come you didn't take out? You might like switch to feeling defensive and guilty or embarrassed for not doing something that you said you were going to do. Again, are you going to be rocked onto the back, onto your heels where you're off balance, or are you going to be on the balls of your feet and ready to receive that and accept it and like, yeah, I did. Sorry, I'll do better. How can I make that up? Right? You're like engaged again, and you can shift that energy in that interaction back to where you're playing competitively and cooperatively. Do you get that difference? That when you have a highly competitive game, it is almost the epitome of cooperation. Everybody is bringing their very, very greatest contribution to the game. They are cooperating with each other to make this the best ball game ever, to the best of their ability. Look for that opportunity. Look for this. Check in with yourself and see, is that your desire in competition? Is it to obliterate the other team, or is it to see the highest level of competition possible, to see the potential outcome when these two teams bring their very best? That shows a lot of mutual respect for both teams. It's the same thing in your partnerships. Can you bring that mutual respect for yourself and also for the other person involved in the relationship, so that you're both engaged with each other's desires and needs in mind, and it's not just trying to obliterate the other person? A big difference in a spirit of competition. Anyway, this is a rough cut. I hope this works. Thanks.